in a world filled with each side screaming how extreme the other side is, where every single issue nowadays seems to be getting caught up in the web of politics, it is time to open our eyes. And this is coming from somebody that works and enjoys the political sphere. Not every issue needs to be political. And my friends, sex trafficking is one of them. Today, we are going to be diving into this a little bit more. So grab your earbuds and dive in. Hi, I'm Jenna Dix, and I'm always rambling. Just ask my husband. I have a great family and a pretty cool life, but I'm a recovered alcoholic. That's hard to say, but my goal is to inspire and educate to help others hopefully find life beyond an addiction. I'm all things: sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Getting healthy, momming, and politics. Get offended easily? You better stop listening. There is no point in wasting that Botox by stressing yourself out listening to a podcast. Welcome to Ramblings of an Addict with Jenna Dix. Today's episode brought to you by products and services I'm thoroughly addicted to. Are you ready to transform your outdoor space into a stunning oasis? Look no further than Green Oasis, your premier lawn and landscape experts serving both Minnesota and Wisconsin. At Green Oasis, they specialize in creating breathtaking landscapes that will leave you in awe. From lush green lawns to exquisite garden designs, their team of skilled professionals is dedicated to bringing your vision to life. Their attention to detail and commitment to quality ensures that every project they undertake will exceed your expectations. But they're not just limited to landscaping. Their expertise extends to building beautiful decks that will become the envy of your neighborhood. Whether you're envisioning a cozy retreat for intimate gatherings or a spacious outdoor entertainment area, their talented craftsmen will bring your dream deck to reality. What sets them apart at Green Oasis is not only their exceptional quality of work, but also the friendliness and helpfulness of their dedicated team. Green Oasis, where your dream landscape becomes a reality. So, if you are ready to experience the Green Oasis difference, contact them today for a consultation. Their details are below in the show notes. Hey, welcome to today's episode of Ramblings of an Addict. I'm so excited to have you here. Today's topic is definitely going to be a little bit on the heavy side, but as promised in the intro of this podcast, right? Ramblings of an Addict is all things momming, all things health and wellness, all things political. And today's topic kind of touches into each of those a little bit, right? Because today's topic is definitely one that all people, moms especially, we need to be able to dive in and learn about. We need to know what's going on. Health and wellness, not really, prayers, right? That it's not going to be impacting your personal health and wellness. But I truly do feel that in order to be at a solid status of your own health and wellness, the wellness of our society does need to be at a solid level. And today's topic, my friends, it is definitely something that impacts the wellness of our society for many different reasons. And we're going to talk about it today. Today's topic, personally, I don't feel should be a political issue. And we're going to get into the whys of that. But today's topic is just one that, not only covers all of those arenas, like I just said, it is a topic that we need to be aware of. We need to be eyes opened when it comes to today's topic. First thing I kind of wanted to talk about was more of a personal pet peeve. And this one might interest people because I am a person that's coming from the political world, right? Whether you look at it that, yes, I am part of the state board, I'm part of the state party, But in addition to that, I'm a local activist. I'm part of, women's affiliate group. I'm somebody that just cares about politics because I truthfully do see the link that, being involved in politics is important because politics are what create the policies that impact every single person. So, the word that I want to talk about, the pet peeve that I have is how even as a Politico, I am so fucking over the word extreme. The word extreme, I think it started being pulled into politics as clickbait, as a marketing strategy because it was eye-catching. It was attention grabbing. What's extreme? I want to know. If you're labeling the other side as extreme, they did something really bad or they did something really horrific. I want to know what's up, right? But the word extreme has been so freaking overused by both sides. Like, I'm not even painting like, one side overused it. Nope, we both did. 1000%. The word extreme, it's obviously a word. Anyone can use it, but it has been overused in the political world so much these last few years. And the word itself is incredibly divisive. It's a good way to kind of summarize your feelings. If you say the word extreme about the other side, you're summarizing your feelings into one word and encapsulating them pretty well. They did something extreme. And you're pissed or you're really focused on it or whatever, right? And you're encapsulating that they are going against you or your opinion in such a vile way. Typically that's what that is meaning. And I can tell you though, and this is my opinion, but this is somebody coming from that world that I should be, one that's oh yes, they did do extreme things. And don't get me wrong. Yes, I do feel that the other side has done some pretty freaking extreme things. But let's come up with some new words here, folks. And I'm sure some marketing people out there for politics right now are like, what the hell is she saying? She can't talk like that. She can't say these things. She can't make, us look bad. But if somebody in that world is I'm so over the word, to me now when I see it, it's just instant frustration. Instant I'm over it feels. I can't even imagine what the general public feels when they see it. Because it's come on, eye roll. Not everything can be extreme. Ultimately, I'm at the point, it's like the boy that cried wolf. The same freaking story that I'm telling my 3-year-old every day when I'm brushing her hair. Because no, sweetheart, not every brush stroke deserves an blood-curdling squeal or screaming of ouch. Because how am I really going to know when I am hurting you? Right? Same. How are we really going to know if something is quote unquote extreme if everything is extreme? Because even if, what started out as extreme, if we continue to label everything like that, if it's on that same level, we need to kind of rebalance slightly so that we can use words like that again to really catch people's attention when something is extreme. Okay? That is where, personally, I'm at. And I'm sure some political marketing people, like I said, are probably pissed right now. This is my opinion. Disclaimer, right? I'm not stating opinion of anyone but Jenna Dix. We need to get more creative with our labeling or labeling things in a more effective way so we truly know when we should be feeling irate or frustrated because something is extreme. Maybe we need to get to the point we just use the actual words that label the feelings we have when it comes to a topic. And with that, let's dive in, right? So like I said, today's topic is going to be one that covers all areas of Jenna Dix, one that is going to impact or should be impacting each of us, And I led to it in the teaser, right? It is something that really shouldn't be falling into political sides. This is a topic that, let's grab some different words, not extreme, right? Disturbing. Depressing. Disgusting. Honestly, nauseating. That is one that literally, as I'm even diving into this episode and knowing what I'm going to be talking about, nauseating. A real human rights violation. This is a topic that is a true infringement on a person's basic rights. A beyond horrific crime. And it's sex trafficking. And I think I am praying people on both sides of the political aisle are thinking, how the heck did we land in a spot where sex trafficking is becoming a political thing? And you can go, sex trafficking as in the selling of any human. But in particular, right, the selling of children. My heart breaks for anyone that gets caught up in that world. Adult, male, female, but children, anyone, minors. Oh, like I said, nauseating, right? My stomach is already twisted in knots talking about this. And this is definitely a topic that, has really hit the buzzwords, as disgusting as it is to say it that way, these last few weeks, as the movie Sound of Freedom has been released, gaining traction, gaining hate, unfortunately. The movie, if you haven't seen it, I highly, highly, highly encourage you do. I'll tell you a little bit about kind of my story with me seeing it here in a second and how, I did not want to at all. But if you haven't seen it, just a quick, I guess, synopsis, right? So the movie Sound of Freedom, it's in theaters right now. It portrays the story of a gentleman named Tim Ballard, who I believe he worked for, now of course, the exact agency he worked for is slipping my mind, and I should have wrote it down. But he worked for a U.S. Government agency working on catching sex traffickers. And they did this film following his life. I guess the producers of the film went to Mr. Ballard and were like, we want to, make a film about this topic. We want to use you as the feature and your story. And this, I guess, happened back in 2015. The film wrapped, they finished filming it. It was all done back in 2018. The rights of the movie were purchased by, this is where it gets fuzzy for me. And I've tried to do research, and I think we all know when something is a hot button topic, which this is right now, it gets fuzzy. But I listened to a couple different episodes that Tim Ballard was on. I've done a lot of reading. I've been trying to figure it out. And from what I'm understanding, Fox bought the film. And then Disney acquired Fox. I believe that's how it goes. But either way, the company that wound up with the rights was Disney. And their whole idea, I guess, was they were not going to show the film. It was not going to make it to the theaters. It would sit on a shelf, essentially, right? And the producers were like, well, that is not why we made this. This is to get out there and to help people and bring awareness to a topic that needs awareness. So they put out the film to other industries, or not industries, but other companies, Amazon being one of them. And the comeback from all of these companies was, this film is not going to make money. We are not putting it out. Which I think times as of right now have proven otherwise. The film has made a lot of money. There's obviously, some ideas of that go against that it had nothing to do with money. There was other reasons as to why these companies wouldn't put this video out. I'm not even going to dive into those wormholes. You, my friend, can do digging. You can figure it out. And I have my assumptions. I have my guesses. But I don't want to make this that type of a podcast. We could go down those wormholes. We could put on our tinfoil hats or, like they're saying we're doing. But here's the deal. Let's try to stick to the facts, right? They said it was because it wouldn't make money. Okay. Well, they, the producers, fought for the rights. They got it back. A different production company, Angel Studios, got the rights to the film. From what I understand, they showed it to a bunch of investors. The investors did what they do. They invested their money. They believed in this film. They also believed this movie needed to get out there, and it released. A couple weeks ago at this point, the film was put out. Box offices have been just popping with people wanting to go see this film. Like I said, I don't want to dive into too many of the wormholes. I like to do that. If you know me personally, I like to do that. But I want to keep this on the topic itself, right? The film is out there. A lot of people are seeing it, which is good. When this film came out, I immediately, I'm like clapping for people, basically, virtually clapping for people as they're saying they're going and seeing this. People I know personally are going to see this, and I'm like, oh, that's awesome. That's so good. But yet, I'm sitting over here thinking, there is no way in heck I'm going to that movie. Reason being, so if you know my backstory, and I've said it before, right? Like, I went through a sexual assault myself at the age of 18. Full-out adult at that point, right? Horrific experience. I'm not diving into any of the pieces of it, but nonetheless, like, obviously it stuck with me. Like, that was a horrific experience. And then at the age of 25, I believe, right? So a few years later, I was a full-blown interpreter at that time. And one of my gigs was that I was interpreting at a youth group. Every Wednesday, I'd go interpret for this one gal that was in this youth group. And one Wednesday, they brought in a woman from a local nonprofit that helps women and girls get out of sex trafficking in the Twin Cities. And the facts that this woman shared at the time were Twin Cities was one of the top popular hotspots, MOA, Mall America, being one of the places they were grabbing these girls. And why they came to this church, this youth group, was because this youth group was actually located, just 2 exits past the Mall of America. So these girls were all from that local community. So we really wanted to make sure, ultimately, that these young girls were educated on this topic, right? So I am interpreting, sign language interpreting, this presentation. I lost it multiple times. And interpreters, we're ultimately supposed to just be the communication flow. You're supposed to not really get caught up in it. And I think every interpreter, for the most part, they've had those moments where they do, because we are human. It's not like we're a robot just facilitating communication. I lost it multiple times this evening. I could barely hold it together. That topic it burned me to my soul, because I'm literally thinking, like, I went through one horrific experience. I cannot imagine multiple times. Some of these people multiple times in a day. Oh, it broke my heart. Broke my heart. And I knew from that moment, like, I can't think about this much. I can't focus on this much. I can't make this, like, as I say, right, being in politics now, I can't make this one of my hills. And I always thought to myself, well, I'll do what I can do, right? I'll donate money. And I do. And in additional ways, like we found ways to donate as a family. You know, our Amazon Smile goes to nonprofits that help people in sex trafficking. Our local grocery store here, they have a wall with all these different boxes where you can plug your receipt in, and then they take a percentage of your proceeds or of your sale and donate it to whatever box you plugged it in. Like you get to select a nonprofit, right? So you can put it in a nonprofit for the what is it called? The Animal Society thing or whatever, right? Or, like bringing special ed kids swimming, like different things. One of which is a sex trafficking nonprofit. So that's like how our family has tried to support this. And I've always just said, that's where it ends. I can't get more involved. I can't learn more. I don't want to because it feels uncomfortable. It's really hard to focus on that. And it's just, like I said, it's a topic that I'm really uncomfortable with, and like being very vulnerable and transparent. Like, this is a topic that I don't know why. It's not like I sit and educate myself on it or try to learn more about it or live in that. It just is stuck with me. And ever since I had my own daughter, my biological daughter, it was a crippling fear. Crippling. And I think it's because it is more, no matter how much you try to shield yourself from it, you're going to see articles or things on that topic. And ever since having my own kid, when I see kids getting caught up in things like that, like, it's crippling. I was having for a while, like, horrific nightmares to the point where I had to go to a counselor and be like, what is going on? Why am I envisioning these ultimate fears, right? For my family. So when the movie came out, I was like, I'm not going. Kudos to people that do, but I can't. Like, I already struggle with this topic. I cannot learn more. And last week, I went to my meeting with my spiritual mentor, like I do every single week. And we walked in and we were chatting, and I asked her how her holiday weekend was, and she immediately dove into this film. Like, Jenna, it was amazing. You need to see this. Number one, being in the political space where you are, and just, she knows my heart, and she knows what I focus on, and she knows what I want to, do to ultimately, help with my purpose for God. And I think it's helping kids ultimately. Every hill I have revolves around, I want to improve the world for kids. And I left that day and I was like, crap, I know she's right. I know I should go see this film. And I didn't want to. I was like, this is going to be so hard. It is going to be so uncomfortable, right? Told my husband, and he felt the same way. He was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. I'm like, I know. And we thought about it. And that was on Wednesday. And come Saturday, it was like, okay, it's date night. What a date night, right? It's date night. Do we go see this film? It's in the back of my mind. It's in the back of his mind. And I get up that morning and I'm looking online like I always do, because I'm a nerd and I'm in politics. So you kind of have to catch up, right? And that was the day that it's really now popping online that, like, this has become such a political issue. This is, I believe it's QAnon, QAnon, a right-winged conspiracy is ultimately what this movie has now been labeled. And on Saturday, it was all over my news feed. Probably because that's when it really was starting to make traction in the news feed. But also, like, in my back of my mind, I'm thinking, this is a God wink. This is God being like, get your rear end to this movie. You need to learn about this because you are on the right side of politics. I always make that joke. Like, right, I'm on the right, the Republican side, but I'm on the right side of politics. Ha ha ha. Anyways, I thought, this has to be a God wink because I need to go to this film because it's beyond politics. This is not politics. This is a human's right thing. We're talking sex trafficking of children, right? So I woke up, I looked at my husband, and I was like, we're going. I was like, we have to go. Because now they're just saying that it's complete right side of politics making a conspiracy theory. How the fuck is this a conspiracy theory? There are straight up victims in this. There are straight up people like Tim Ballard who have worked their entire lives to put traffickers away. They have worked their careers trying to save children. And it's a conspiracy. What in the flying F? How has this happened? Right? So yeah, I did go. We went to the movie. I packed tissues because not only it's a sad topic, but I knew, like I said, this is one I'm really uncomfortable with. Really uncomfortable. I did not want to go. Yeah, tears, some tears came. I held it together much better than I thought. I honestly think it's partially because, they're not lying on TV. The theater was packed. I literally had, a husband on one side of me, but another person watching the movie on the other side. So I don't know, maybe, like I said, I did still cry, but not like ugly tears, sobbing, anything like that. Probably because I was sitting, next to a guy. I had no idea who he was. But the film blew me away. It was, you need to see. You need to see it. And, one nice thing about Angel Studios is, if you are at a point where you just financially cannot afford to go to the movie and you're like, I know I need to go, they do a thing where you pay it forward and people are purchasing tickets for other individuals. You can go on and you can get a free ticket. So you don't even need to, money is not the issue holding you back from seeing this film. When I was with my mentor last week and I opened up to her and I told her, in addition to, this is uncomfortable and this is why, it's because I'm, not only do I not want to learn because, let's be real, it's a gross topic. But in addition, right, like a huge fear for me and I have daughters. And she says to me, Jenna, then you need to remember whose children are your girls. They're God's. She's like, exactly. And every day you need to remember, God loves those girls more than you can even imagine. You put those girls in the golden bowl when you pray every day for God to take care of. Heartbreaking, right? For me as a mom, I'm like, oh, she's right. She nailed it. So I can tell you, I've been praying my face off, putting my girls in the golden bowl multiple times a day, because I may have watched it Saturday, but that movie is still stirring up my belly every day. And I can say, the fact that there's people out there snickering at this film and having, honestly, the audacity to say that their issues are more important, and there's important issues around the world. There's so many important issues. I get that. I'm not even going down that wormhole, right? There's a lot of important issues. But come on. This one should be crossing over political lines. It should be crossing over racial lines. Every fucking line, imaginary or real, this should be crossing over. The fact that this is now a political issue, I just can't understand the why. I can't. And I'm somebody in politics. But, I'm choked up on my words here a little bit, which if you follow me, you know that doesn't happen. It happens very rarely. Even if though, let's say, maybe you're listening and you're a hater. Because let's be real, we have all known I've had some haters that follow. You can just look at some of my reviews and you know that, right? Okay. Maybe you're a hater and you're like, well, the film didn't depict everything exactly. Okay, fine. Say, okay, some of these facts of the movie are questionable. But the theme is freaking fact. That is fact. You cannot sit there and argue that sex trafficking is not happening. Victims come out. They say their story. They educate the public. Even, words are skipping my brain at the point because I'm frustrated. But even the traffickers themselves have come out, some of them. Like on the flip side, and they say their story, they say what they did. They say what goes on. So the issue itself is not political. It shouldn't be. Like I said, this, my friends, if there's ever been a freaking human rights issue that needs to be focused on, this is it. We're all quick right now to say other human issues that are important. Do you want me to get on my political soapbox? Because I could stand up there all day and scream the BS, human basic rights that people are screaming about not having. And then they laugh and snicker at something of this stature. Right now, I'm honestly at the point, I just think that there's a lot of issues that we could talk that have fallen into a political side. Like, you have to choose a side on this thing that you're like, how the fuck is that political? Like, for example, okay, other ones, let's talk. Public safety. What? How has that become such a political issue? It shouldn't be. The safety of the public should matter to everybody equally, and we should be able to agree. And I can tell you that both sides say that they're doing a better job on that one. But there's so many pieces of that they should be able to sit down and just hash out together. So many pieces. That should not be politicized. And the issue with it being politicized is, I don't know, my stance, public safety, at least here in Minnesota, has kind of become a joke. I mean, should we flip back to the 4th of July as we have citizens literally shooting fireworks at our police officers and laughing? And then politicians on certain sides coming out and saying that, oh, they were just having fun? What? Come on, man. How about another issue? Education. If you were to rewind, education, math, reading, writing, aren't those the core education pieces that should matter? And what both sides should be focusing on equally? Yet it's become a political thing where it sure as hell seems like one side is focusing on the old school, like, what about math and reading scores? Why are these dropping? Why are our kids not able to read and they're graduating and they can't, do a simple equation? And other sides are screaming, oh, but don't forget about all these fancy-dancy new fangled pronouns and, don't forget about DEI and things like that. That's what matters in schools. One that also, has really been bothering me that I cannot wrap my head around how it's becoming a political thing is letting opposite gendered people into the other person's, private space. So let's just, we'll call it spade a spade. So biological men in female spaces while they still have their male genitalia. I don't give a shit what you identify as. What you are pretending you're saying you're being. If you still have your male genitalia intact, stay the fuck out of the female bathroom. Oh, well, if they're on hormones, what space should they go to? They don't really belong in the male. Well, if they haven't, if they have not removed it, I sure as hell don't want them next to my 3-year-old. Go to the family bathroom, or I don't know, like in this one, I just opened a can of worms. I get it. But the fact that this is now a political issue, we're talking that males, full male genitalia, identifying as women, like look at the freaking prisons. And yeah, they're, people are, they're in prison for a reason. Okay, but that doesn't mean that we should be allowing males in there saying they're women, and then these males with their genitalia that's still intact are then raping said biological women prisoners. Like, come on. The political world has grabbed at all of these super controversial things, and they're becoming essentially so divisive. Issues that shouldn't be divisive. They should be common sense things. Sex trafficking topping the cake. Right? All right. Well, you know, if you follow my podcasts, always some way, shape, or form have a, okay, yeah, this sucks, or yeah, this is the issue, this is the problem, whether it be, a mom issue of I feel off balance, how do I, work on my stress, to, how do I lose 10 pounds, to political things, some tips for kind of getting your bearings or figuring out your next steps. Something like this, we still need to sit down and problem solve, right? We still need to come to it and think, okay, as yucky as this topic is, what do we do about it, right? We need to start to dive into conversations and really think about, okay, it's impacting our world, clearly, right? Sex trafficking, as they say, it knows no boundaries. It literally crosses the entire freaking planet. It is happening everywhere. And if you want to make it political, fine. If you want to keep it a human rights, awesome. Okay. Either way, what do we do about this, right? So I sat down and I was thinking, okay, how would I utilize my coaching skills, my strategies for what can we do about this as a society? Because ultimately that's the goal of this film. Bringing awareness and thinking, okay, what can we do about this? And they talk about how, ultimately slavery in itself, back in Civil War time, right? That whole movement started with people becoming aware. So putting my coaching hat on, because that's my expertise. How can I utilize my expertise to bring awareness to this topic, as icky as it is? I broke it down into, 4 steps or 4 to-dos. And the first one is, when it comes to this topic, we need to truly listen. As hard as it is, as uncomfortable as it is, I'm usually pretty decent with, okay, yeah, that topic's uncomfortable, but I'll push through, I'll learn about it. This one, like I said, I shared my story for a reason, because I am the type that I will dive into a lot. I will learn about a lot. And this one really took a lot of self-persuading. I did not want to. I had, honestly, if my mentor probably hadn't encouraged, I would not have gone to the film. Because, I can't learn about that. That's too hard. That's too difficult. That's too uncomfortable. Okay? We need to truly start to listen, and we need to learn about these things. Whether it's, education or public safety or sex trafficking. We need to learn about the issues that we're I don't want to. It's uncomfortable. It's icky. Even if you're sitting there and you're oh, that's political, I don't want to learn about that. More than likely, it's a sign you probably need to if you keep feeling that same pull. And when you're listening about it, when you're learning about it, you're not thinking of your comebacks. You're purely sitting there, ears open. And this is hard for me. It's really hard for me because I am the type of person, since I was a child, my brain is cranking immediately thinking of, thinking more of an argument, right? I'm immediately thinking of my comebacks. We need to stop. And I learned that during my coaching training, that just stop and listen. Don't think about what you're going to ask next or what you're going to say. Just stop and listen. Let it really, cover you in that information. And then you can process and make the best comment or the best actionable once you have full information. Once you've gotten the information, ask questions. questions, honestly, are one of the best things we can do, because then we're making sure that we're filling our gaps, we're fully educating ourselves as best we can, we're getting the information we need. And when you're asking questions, try to make them open-ended. And like I said, I put my coaching hat on when I did this, and open-ended questions are going to give you more context. It will give you more information. If you ask a close-ended question, which, okay, so maybe you don't even know where I'm going with that. Close-ended, what that means is like you ask a question and they're going to respond with like one word, 1 or 2 words. Open-ended, they're going to give you like a paragraph back, right? So close-ended would be like a simple yes, no, or yeah, close-ended would be simple yes, no. If you ask an open-ended, they're going to give you more information. So really think about your questions so that you can fill the gaps, fill your knowledge gaps, fill gaps that you're like, they didn't even really dive into this. They didn't explain that. And the third thing is try to recognize biases. Whether one, it's a bias in the information you're getting, where you're learning, what information you're receiving, but also try to be aware of your own personal biases. For me, sometimes this is hard. And sometimes I literally now when I'm thinking of, certain topics, I have to think, okay, remove like my previous, I'm a Republican hat for a second and be like, okay, what is the full out information here? Okay. And I've honestly done this with the sex trafficking topic a little bit since going to the film. I took off I'm a Republican hat. I back the blue. I believe in officers. I believe in what they do. Because obviously, like I said, this film is based around somebody who, from a government agency, and then he kind of went more like black market in the aspect of he had to quit his job. Homeland Security. That was the agency who was with him in the movie. He quit working for them, kind of went off on his own, right? But end of the day, Republicans, we still support officers and people of that stature, right? I had to kind of remove that while listening to all the arguing about this film, and still I was landing at, well, fine, you don't support the officer, you don't support the gentleman that, is featured in this film. How do you not support the issue underneath, the sex trafficking and helping these children, right? So you need to remove first you need to recognize and try to remove biases, whether from the source or from yourself. If you're noticing a bias coming from the information, ask more questions. Try to dig into that a little bit and see, like, am I right? Am I seeing a bias? Are they like slanting this? Are they putting a perspective? And then the final step is, coming to a common ground, which means that there's going to be points that you need to agree to disagree. Just say, we're never going to come eye to eye on this piece of it. It just needs to be what it is. But then finding the common ground, the common values that are shared. That is how true progress is going to happen on any issue. My friend, you can use these tips we just went through, these 4 things, and use them for any argument you're having. Like, you're welcome, right? You're having an argument with your spouse, utilize these tips. You for sure can. But these 4 tips can also be used for big topics as well, such as sex trafficking. It could be used, honestly, in the political space. I think we'd be a hell of a lot better if a lot of people started using these steps. And then kind of the 5th, bonus step, right? Follow through. So if there's things that actionables you're supposed to take, or things you're supposed to learn then, or whatever, actionables for you, make sure you're doing them. Do the follow through that you've set for yourself. Be, ultimately a man of your word. And also then making sure that the other side is doing their follow through. So it's 2-sided. Watch your own follow through, but also following through on watching their actionables. Make sure they're holding their word. Okay? All right. So as we close today's episode, another ramblings, which this one was quite the rambling. We can be in a space where, yeah, I'm okay with politics, right? Me personally, you know that I am. But come on, like, let's be human as well and realize that there's going to be some topics that don't necessarily need to fall into one side or the other. We need to open our eyes to the fact that some things need to remain ultimately not political. Sex trafficking is not a political matter. As I said, right? I think what were the words I used? Disturbing, depressing, nauseating, violation of human rights. It doesn't need to be labeled liberal or conservative. And I get in today's time right now where we do feel very divided. And there's going to be those Pollyannas out there that, oh, we're not divided. Okay. All right. We do need to shift our focus a little bit on certain topics, such as today's. Bonus reminder, right? We need to challenge that extreme rhetoric. Not everything needs to be labeled that way. And we need to start engaging and educating on topics that truly do matter, even if they are uncomfortable. So remembering, right? You're listening. You're asking questions. You're recognizing biases, even if they're in yourself. And trying to find as much common ground, or honestly, as little. Maybe it's just you're finding one little quarter of an inch. Because together, focusing on the topics like this, we need to realize they go beyond the divide. As they say in the movie, right? If you haven't seen it, right? You'll learn right now. In the movie, they say, God's children are not for sale. As one of God's children, you yourself, do your part to help your brothers and sisters that are stuck in that horrific world. As little or as big as you can. Maybe it's, you shop at Kowalski's also and you shove your receipt in that same box. Maybe you're somebody that is out there on prayers for you. You're on the front lines doing your part. But no matter what part you're taking, we need to stop ignoring these hard, uncomfortable topics. And maybe for you, it's not sex trafficking. Maybe this is your calling right now for maybe there's another topic that you're like, I don't want to dive into it. It's uncomfortable. But you know in your soul, like, I need to. Because every day, we need to remember our first job is we put on our armor of God and we stay on the path He has designed for us. And sometimes that means facing the uncomfortable. Because sometimes that means we are doing the right thing that He wanted us to do. Thank you so much for joining me for today's ramblings. I will catch you in the next episode. If today's episode is one that spoke to you, please share it. Get the word out. And if you have not yet seen the film, I highly encourage you go see The Sound of Freedom. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Ramblings of an Addict with Jenna Dix. Remember, if you are battling an addiction, reach out for help and support. There are many resources available to assist in your journey towards recovery. Surround yourself with a supportive community and never give up on the path towards a healthier and happier life. I appreciate you taking the time to listen and joining me on this journey. As you heard, I'm always rambling. But seriously, thank you for your support and make sure to subscribe and follow my channel. I can't wait to share more with you on the next episode. Until then, keep on rambling. If you have found this podcast helpful and want to dive deeper into personal growth and self-improvement, be sure to head over to my website, jennadix.com. You'll find a wealth of resources there. There is a little less drugs, sex, and rock and roll these days, but whether you're interested in getting healthy, information on momming or parenting, or politics, jennadix.com has something for everyone. So, what are you waiting for? Head to jennadix.com today and start your journey towards personal growth and self-awareness. See you there.